So this is Gloria Taylor Brown. We are here with the originator and organizer of the West Coast EcoFeminism Conference 2015, Miss Julia Orr. So Julia, tell me, what possessed you to want to organize this?
Every time I decide to organize something, 2 months later I'm going, why on earth did I do that? But this was really, I mean, I am basically an ecofeminist. I am concerned with women's issues, animal issues, environmental issues. I found the goddess a long time ago, and I could figure that, you know, I believe that the earth is my mother and the kind of universal spirit that I listen to. So for a long time this has been kind of my goal, but it was generally inspired about a year ago out of a panel I was on with some of the speakers here, and the panel was Feminism in Animal Rights, and it was so incredibly popular at one of the conferences that we started talking, and people had said to us, we want to continue this conversation, we want to go further. And out of that, all of us who are ecofeminists went, well, we should have a conference. And then everyone went, but maybe in a few years. And it was me who has the kind of, I can't do anything without attaining that goal, who decided, no, we're going to do it next year, and it's going to be this date, and we're going to do it, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on this planet, so I never wait. My mom said, don't ever wait to do the things you want. So it's comes from that, and an urgent desire I have in myself to help, or in some way, convey where we're at on this planet right now and the catastrophic times we're in.
Well, I find that interesting, because with me it's a matter of, until I give it a date, it doesn't exist. But once I give it a date, you might as well carve it in stone. I have to do it.
Right.
And I think that comes from my advertising background, and I think it might come from something of the similar with you.
Yes, yes.
When you give somebody a date that you're going to have a project done by, that's the date it's going to be done.
Yes.
Or there's going to be an answer that you don't want to have to give.
Right. Yes.
So.
Indeed. Yeah, and I come from, I worked at Disney Studios for 10 years or more, organizing junkets and publicity. So, you know, somebody assigns me a task, put this together for 150 people, and I'm just used to doing it. And so that's how I am, you know?
Yeah,
so
well,
absolutely.
On the other hand, I will say that organizing junkets and what have you for Disney is probably a lot easier than organizing a group of women to show up and do something like this and have an audience.
Yes.
And because, you know, I too have done this sort of work, and I applaud you and honor you, and I'm not doing it anymore.
Right.
So when I ask you what possessed you, it's like...
Yes, and every time we emailed, you're like, don't worry, I've been there. And I'm like, oh good, thank you, you know? So yeah, with Disney you throw money at it. If it's a problem, you throw money at it. But in these situations when you have a problem, there's no money to throw at it.
No,
so.
It's just, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
This is what's going on. Somebody didn't show up, somebody did show up, somebody's, you know, gone 2 hours when they were supposed to go 50 minutes. And short of having a hook and pulling them off, you smile and go, oh, this is interesting. We'll have her back.
Yes.
But yeah, so as it sounds to me like your mother was a very strong influence in your life that has created the person you have become. Am I correct?
Yeah, my mom, I consider her a superwoman, a superhuman. And I didn't really realize it till much later in my life. We have a really strong connection now. As I was growing up, of course, I was the youngest troubled child who didn't do anything they were told. And, you know, would stay out all night and give my parents huge problems. And of course my mom and myself were, you know, headstrong people, so we clashed a lot. But later on in life I realized that she not only gave birth to 4 kids, she had 2 jobs, and her father, my grandfather, lived with us. He was disabled, so she took care of her disabled father, 4 children, a dog, her husband, because not only did she have 2 jobs, but she had to come home and do all of the cooking, all of the cleaning. She was a traditional mother, and somehow she got through all that. And that, to me, she has really inspired. And not, but beyond that, I remember her, you know, she would be there at night literally sewing our clothes, because that's how it was back then, making our toys, taking us to museums, taking us to films, you know, sitting down with us, telling us stories. I could read by the time I was 5. And that was down to her. My love of story came from my parents, who were always reading. So yeah, I consider her a superhuman.
Yeah, well, I think that we should applaud all mothers that are strong enough to make strong women. Yeah. So, I mean, I realize that sometimes it's an exhausting process. Yeah. So, and as you've created this conference, where do you see it going? What is it that you want? I mean, this is your baby.
Yeah.
This is the first one, right?
Yes.
So where do you want it to go from here?
Well, it's interesting because I have come to the understanding in my life that I try not to have any expectations, because if I put my own expectations on something, I'm generally very disappointed. And if I feel that if I just leave the door open, then an amazing thing happens, and I'm generally wonderfully more surprised than if I had expected it to do something. So that being said, I would love this conference to happen again, because there were so many people that I wanted to bring in to talk, that had important things to say that I couldn't fit in, that, you know, I would love it to get bigger and bolder, and so that more people could participate. And I would love us to really start breaking down our views on this society and patriarchy, on the dominating culture and the violence, and really start organizing in a different way. And one of the things that it came to, you know, I came to my realization after spending time with the Dene grandmothers, who are matriarchal based, and the women make a lot of the decisions. Well, they're very involved anyway, they're very wise women. Was that as I tried to organize in a very egalitarian way out in the world with my activism, not many people actually understood how to do that.
Right.
They didn't actually understand how to give each other power. They didn't actually understand, even if we're women in a room, that sometimes you could just go, okay, we'll do it your way, that's fine. You know, and just try somebody else's way. Just be, okay, let's make a decision together. If we're all okay with that decision, doesn't matter whose idea it is, let's just go with that. And if you disagree, just try it, you know, and let's give each other some power, you know, and that's how what I hope to come out of this, that women go, okay, I'm going to start coming together and giving a bit more, and understanding a bit more, and giving women power a bit more, and just being nice to each other, being nicer to each other anyway.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Women are typically not taught to be team players.
Right.
We are taught to be individual stars. And to be an individual star, you have to put down everybody else who's around you. Not just the men, but also the other women.
Yeah.
And one of the things that has come out of the feminism movement is the idea that maybe we don't have to put down all of the other women out there, that maybe we can work with the women. One of the organizations I've been involved with for many years is Women of Wisdom in Seattle, Washington. And we had the conference organizing committee, which was basically run on a somewhat consensus basis. You know, as George Orwell said, all pigs are equal, and some pigs are more equal than others. Well, it was kind of like that, but you know, so there was a leading, Chris Dennis was the leading voice because it was her idea, but in the main, she worked with in consensus, and you know, it was only if we had done something before and it didn't work, and we knew it wouldn't work, then she would say, well, you know, we did that before and it didn't work. So how are you planning on making it work this time?
Right.
And it wasn't, we can't do it, but how are you going to make it work now? Yeah. And I think that based on that consensus model, it allows you to allow the stars in the room to come up, to truly shine, even the ones who sit in the corner and don't make very much in the way of contribution. And I think that by doing that, it does allow for there to be a greater ownership of events. Because one of the problems is if you're the only person who's doing the organizing, then you're the only person who's doing everything.
Right.
Or as Ruth Barrett says, that you can always tell the high priestess because she's the one who stays afterward and scrapes the candle wax off the floor. So, you know, we have to, if we're going to get to a place where we are recognized as equal, we have to act more equal.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I totally agree. And it's sometimes difficult in my organizing, and I find people have, the main issue I think people have with me is I try not to give direction. I just try to let people, if you see something that needs doing, please feel free to do it. Don't wait for me to tell you, because I probably won't. I'll probably go, it is what it is, you know, and move on. You know, doing the things that I feel I need to take care of. So that's how, and I was going to say to the volunteers here today, I thank you so much, because I respect all people and think that you are intelligent and clever and aware enough to take care of a task if you see it needs doing. You know, please don't, I do not need to tell you how to do it, where to do it, you know, and how to take care of it. You decide. And if you want to do it in a way that you feels comfortable to you, that's totally fine by me. I don't care if it's pink, blue, purple, paint it whatever color you like. It's good. But I think that we're not at that place where a lot of people are comfortable with that yet.
Yeah, taking ownership is, I think, a big issue. I was listening to a couple of women out there, and there was cantaloupe on the table, and they're like, well, should we put the cantaloupe away? And I'm like, it's cantaloupe. There's nobody here eating it. It needs to go in the refrigerator. You know, and I didn't say anything because, you know, I have a tendency to step on other people's toes. But it was just interesting to me that there was two women discussing whether or not that was something that should be done, when it was pretty obvious it should be done.
It should be done, yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so one of the things that I know from my own organizing and my own is that allowing people to have their own ideas and do it their way. Yeah. Sometimes it's a little difficult to let go of that because you know how it should be done. I mean, it's this box, it's pink, it's got a blue bow on it, and, you know, we should be able to hand it to the speaker and do it exactly this way. And somebody else says, no, let's do it with frou-frou stuff. And you're going, oh, God, tinsel all over the place. And so I honor the fact that you're stepping back and saying, but I do think that also, and I also think, I also think that is a training issue. That is, that as we work with other women, we do have to realize that most of them work from a place where they expect to be told what to do. And if we're not going to tell them what to do, then we have to sort of let them know that up front.
Yes, that's probably my problem. I don't let them know up front, so we kind of come to a sticky point where it's like, she's not, what is going on? What is going on? I'm like, oh, it's fine, just do whatever you want to do. And I really, that's my lesson. I need to learn to go, you know what, I am going to leave this for you to make up your mind, and you just take care of it however you see fit. That is something I really need to learn to do, definitely. It backfires on me a lot.
Well, I think it's a little bit of your Britishness, you know. So you know, what do you mean? I'm not going to tell people what to do.
But the other end of that is that one of my buttons is being told what to do. And my mum has always said that, don't tell her what to do.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that'll just send her off in the other direction. You know, so I hate being micromanaged, and I hate being told what to do, and I hate being mansplained. That's my worst thing. You know, if a man is telling me how something is, that is like, you'll see my eyes rolling back in my head as soon as anything. So yeah, it has its issues. Yeah,
we had Abigail McBride on the show this last Saturday. And she was telling how she was working at this magic shop in Las Vegas, and she has a little bit of this characteristic, let's say a lot. And she's saying that he would say, well, you know, I don't really think that this group would be one you'd be interested in. We meet, you know, every Tuesday night for about 2 hours, but I don't think it's going to be a group you're going to be very interested in. So, you know, you can tell people about it, but it probably won't interest you. And of course, she showed up, had to be there. And then he says, I don't think this book, should ask about some book. I don't think that book's going to be very interesting to you. It's about esoteric magic or something like that. And it was just funny. It was like, that was a brilliant case of a man who had learned how to get a woman to do what he wanted her to do without telling her what to do. And in a way, sometimes that's what you have to do. I mean, we all have kids that are children that, since I have kids and children, that if you tell them what to do, my mother always said, if she wanted me to do something, what she'd tell me was not to do it.
Right, and then you'd do it, yeah.
Yeah, if she told me to go and jump off the roof, she was pretty clear I wouldn't go jump off the roof.
But that brings up, to me that brings up another point, is that, I always say to my men friends when they are very much behind the kind of egalitarian and women stepping up and doing this and taking the power and leading us out of this chaos, I'm always like, but you can't tell us how to do that.
Yeah, you can't fix it.
You can't fix us to fix it.
Yeah.
We have to fix ourselves to fix it. So you're going to have to step back and let us muddle it out, make mistakes and do all that kind of stuff, and do it ourselves.
Yeah, I understand, and I really do hold that you will have bigger and greater conferences with more opportunities for people to volunteer. And if people are interested in volunteering for the next conference, which I don't know when are you planning on holding that?
I don't know, maybe in a year.
In a year? Okay, let's say in a year.
In a year.
So if you're planning on having the 2016 conference, if anyone is interested in helping you, where should they get in touch with you?
They should get in touch through the website, www.westcoastecofem.com, or email me at westcoastecofem@gmail.com.
Okay, and we will hopefully see you again here next year, if not before that.
Thank you so much, Gloria.
I love talking with you. You're a delightful human being.
Thank you, Gloria. You are too. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for all the work you're doing. It is really wonderful. You're making a difference every day.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you. And thank you for having been there before and saying, it's okay. I understand.